So we're into week 8, the last week that these birds will be alive. And this is a full-size broiler. You see the size of my hand? Let's flash real quick to week 1 when I was holding a baby chick, and then flash to week 8 when I'm holding this full-size broiler. I can't even hang on to this one. Let me put you down before you get all too excited. So with 8 weeks having gone by, these birds are about ready for processing. We're early into this week. Now it's the 8th week, and they'll go out next week. But they're sizing up really nice. They're gonna hit the target weights that I'm typically looking for. They may be even a little bit bigger because the weather's been really nice, so they've been just focusing on growth and less on survival. And all in all, I've been really happy with this batch of birds, both the homestead and out in the field. So now that we're getting into the final week, we're gonna go over what processing day is gonna be like, what things are you looking for so you don't screw up on the last week when your birds are really big in size, things to look out for, you know, whether it's July or right now it's October. There's certain weather and things that, you know, I'm looking out for. Our feeding regimen, and then all the numbers for this batch of birds. Because this series goes right up to the last day where I have birds, I'm going to do a special release episode 9 where we go over our feed use throughout the entire thing, my mortality throughout the entire project, all the numbers. And I'm doing a special release video because I know it's something that you guys are going to want to come back to in reference, more so than maybe some of the other videos. So dedicating that itself just for you guys. But without further ado, let's just head into tomorrow. Let's talk about what life on pasture is like, and let's talk about what processing day is going to be like coming up. So it's Thursday. We're going to talk about what the birds look like when they come out the other side of the processor and what you can do with them. Now, if you're doing it at a homestead scale, if you're doing it like one chicken tractor by your house in a yard, you're probably going to process them just for yourself. And with that, you'll probably end up with a whole bird, or you could split them down the middle and do half birds. And that's great for homestead use because you're going to do a roast chicken in the oven or on the grill. You're going to make stock from the bones. You're going to use the leftovers for chicken salad or tacos or something. And that's fantastic. And that's what I try to impress upon a lot of my customers, is using the whole entire chicken. As much of the chicken as you can get to the customer, the better, in my opinion. So I got a question from Danny Bartley. Danny Bartley asked, is there a market for feathers? Now, there's a market for pretty much everything in the chicken. Feathers, I don't know that there is. I've never heard of a niche producer, a smaller producer like myself, selling the feathers and, you know, creating something out of it, finding a market for that. Feet sell well to chefs. If you're going to save the feet, always save the feet. If you're doing it on a homestead scale, you want to scald the feet well enough where they're skinned and they're clean. You don't want to sell feet that are covered in poo, but your processor will typically give you the option to either discard or keep the feet. When I go to the processor, I keep the feet and I have them bagged in 1 to 2 pound packages, because nobody wants a 6 pound bag of feet. That just doesn't sell. But a 2 pound bag of feet is an easier sell. Sometimes your processor, depending on how busy they are, doesn't like the 1 pound bags of feet, because then they're there all day bagging. And it depends on how the price structure works and how they're, you know, if they're charging you extra to bag it or not. So you'll have to discuss it with them. The options are going to be different in different areas, and that also goes into what the bird is going to look like when it comes out the other end. Not just the feet, not just the feathers, but the whole entire bird. Is it better to get cut up birds? Is it better to get whole birds? Is it half birds? What are the options here? So the 2 main options are whole birds and half birds in my area, but there's also the possibility to get ground chicken. You can get your legs split up into thighs, drumsticks, a whole leg. You can get breast, bone in, skinless, bone out, skinless, or boneless, skinless. Package up wings for people who want to do wings. If you're just starting out, and I imagine that the majority of the audience on this video series is just starting out and kind of figuring things out and getting established, I would stick with the whole birds and maybe the split birds if you want, so that there's a smaller offering. But those whole birds, once you've sold people on a whole bird, they're going to come back for that. And it's easier to manage inventory wise. You can be consistent, and consistency is key in sales. That once people realize that they can get something from you, they want to keep coming back and getting it from you time and time again. And being able to supply that to them gets them in the routine. You become their chicken person, and then you can grow your business year to year and start to diversify your offerings within, even just within the chicken realm. You can branch out into parts and pieces and whole birds, half birds. It's different for different people, and it's different in different markets. This is only what's worked for me. It might work differently in your area, but for me, marketing the whole birds and a few split birds, but the majority of them whole, has worked out really well. You don't always sell out at every farmer's market or CSA, and it takes some time for this stuff to build. We can talk about that in future videos when we'll go over more of the business. But for now, that's what I do in processing. That's how I market the birds, and we're on to tomorrow. Hey, it's John. It's Friday. What's up? Behind the chicken tractors. So these are the back of the chicken tractors out in the field. You see these squares? You can kind of see them in the grass right here, right here. There's a little gap where, you know, we moved too far forward with our rotation, but that's all right because we have plenty of space. But there's these squares of poo now in the grass. And I had questions earlier in the series, what is the effect of the poop on the grass? Now what's awesome is that as the birds get bigger, they poop more. Well, I guess that's awesome, whatever. Sorry about the sunglasses, by the way, but it's bright outside. So look at this picture that I'm about to put up, and I think I've put this in a past video, but I'm gonna do it again because it's amazing. So this is fall 2015 right here. And now let's go from fall 2015 where the chicken tractors just were, and you can see those poop patches where it's burnt the grass a little bit. It's had that impact, but the birds have gone through and dethatched and left their pressure. And let's go to, I think it's about March 2016. These are Google Maps photos, and you can see how that grass has come back even better. Now what the birds did is they left their poop. They did some scratching, dethatching, they did some aerating, they looked for bugs, they, you know, just left a lot of poop behind. And now that grass has come back thicker and fuller and greener that next year, greener than all the grass surrounding it. Now, that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's something that you can't replicate. Just hang, you know, or cutting, you know, mowing with the lawnmower or the bush hog or whatever. It's just something that's cool, natural, happens with these chicken tractors, with birds out on pasture. I mean, if that's not a selling point for you, then I don't know what is. It's all around good. So then enter the variables. So depending on what your economic status is, and you might be working 2 jobs and you're doing this on the side, depending on how much free time you have, depending on how much free land you have, and that means not just free like you're not paying for it, but open space to run chickens on. You, at this point on week 7, or week 8 now, week 8, you could move these guys twice a day and give them twice as much grass. You can move them in the morning, you can move them in the afternoon, you can move them in the evening, and then in the morning, you can move them in the afternoon, and then whatever works for you. Honestly, there's no pre-described perfect scenario for pastured poultry and farming in general, because it's always going to adjust to suit your needs, your wants, your desires. If you try to always think with the health and benefits of the animal in mind, you'll do an all right job as a manager. So now we're doing 2-a-day feedings as we have time, because we want these birds to grow. And as I have some extra pasture here, we'll do some 2-a-day moves as well and give those birds extra grass. As they're eating more, they're metabolizing more, they're growing more, they're pooping more. And to get them off of that poop, we wanted to do those 2-a-day moves. And there's a lot of benefit because the birds stay a little bit healthier. You get a little flavor boost up at the end. You know, it colors that fat nice and yellow with those beta carotenes and omega-3 fatty acids and all this other good science stuff that you just get out of, you know, what sunshine grows. Sunshine grows this, and then birds eat it and they convert it into deliciousness. Oh my goodness, it's so good, so good. So that's a little bit of manure impact, a little bit about moving, and then we're on to tomorrow. So it's Saturday, and I want to discuss something that you may or may not have thought of before you started this, but if not, you still have a couple days left. And that's freezer space. So there's 25 chickens here in the homestead batch. These are going to be just for our own home use, but at production scale, I'm also going to need freezer space for those birds as well. Now, ideally, you've done some marketing and you've pre-sold a lot of your birds, or you have space already, but if not, it's time to make some room in your freezer. Think about, you know, each chicken's going to take up about 1 cubic foot of space, so you're going to need that space in your freezer. You're also not going to want to freeze them all at once, because you freeze them all at once, those birds in the middle take a long time to freeze. So as you process them, you're going to freeze them in layers, and as those layers fully freeze all the way through, you'll add another layer in. You're doing about 1 layer a day, depending on your freezer space and your freezer temperature and all that stuff too. But something that we don't often think about is you get all excited about the project, and now you're watching this, and hopefully it's before you started, and plan for having freezer space. And if you're starting an operation, if you're scaling up to a bigger size, make sure you have access to a freezer, or a freezer that you already have that's going to have enough space to house your birds. I know this is like a little simple detail, but I've been burned in the past, which makes me feel the need to talk about it. But yeah, it's a little simple thing. You know, with all of this, you want to do your pre-planning, think through all the steps mentally ahead of time, watch a series like this, talk to other farmers, and try to find out where the weaknesses are going to be in your system, and then what you can do ahead of time so you're not scrambling last minute, and worst case scenario, losing product or losing chicken that you might otherwise have been able to store and keep for later. With that little tidbit, let's go on to tomorrow, Sunday, and I will answer some questions. So it's Sunday, birds are doing great. Move, feed, water, do a second feeding later in the day, and they're all right. Life is good. The wind is blowing, it's been a little bit cooler outside, and it's time for Shameless Plug Sunday. Bam! I wrote a book. I'm an author. It's a really cool thing. I'm kind of proud of it. This book is for sale through the website, farmmarketingsolutions.com. You can also find it on Amazon, and every time you buy a book, it helps me create videos to share information about chickens with you guys. So that's a fun thing. I love it. I like it. I want some more of it. I want to raise 1 million chickens. Every time someone buys a book, realistically speaking, they're going to build at least one chicken tractor. One chicken tractor casually houses at least 25 chickens. So if I sell enough books, I can reach 1 million chickens raised. I'm going to raise 1,200 on my farm next year, maybe a little bit more. And I know some people around me who are using these chicken tractors who are in the thousands of chickens produced. But at least one chicken or one book, 25 chickens, we're going to reach 1 million chickens. I have a link popping up right now. Bam! It's also in the description for this video where you can see more about this 1 million chicken project. It's why I did the video series, because I want more people to raise chickens on grass, because chickens on grass taste delicious. It's a lot healthier for the birds. It's great for the land, and you can. It's good. It's a good stepping stone for that whole regenerative agriculture thing that I've been talking about. It's really good. It's really fantastic. It's really wonderful. I love it. It's good. So head on over there, check out the links, and we'll go on to Monday. So this video series is wrapping up. We're coming to a close, and there's still a lot of information to talk about. And quite frankly, I want to stay in touch with you guys. So I've created a resources page on the website. I have the summary page with all these videos where you can see that all the videos from week 1 to week 8 are going to be on there. And we're going to do a video for week 9 where we go by the numbers and I talk about my process weights, what the total feed was, total mortality, and we're going to break down all the stats for this batch of bird that you guys have been following along for the last couple weeks or last 8 weeks. So that'll be episode 9 where we do by the numbers. And then episode 10, we're going to talk about some of the marketing strategies. How do I sell these birds? How do I structure my CSA? If you were to start this operation from scratch, I just share my own story on what I did to get started and where I'm at now and how that has changed throughout the years and how it might change in the years going forward. So all of those videos are going to be on that summary page. If you scroll to the bottom of that, there'll be a resources section on the next page, because if you put too many things on one web page, it loads slowly and the internet hates that. So it has to be a second page. And from there, I'm going to share free PDFs, other videos that I've shot, all the resources that I've been gathering throughout the years, and I'm going to slowly populate that page as I do more research into broilers. This helps me as much as it helps you. We're a community, we're growing this together, and I want to stay in touch after this video series is over. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, get on over to Farm Marketing Solutions and check out the website there. As I release new stuff on there, I'll mention it in videos on the YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Instagram. Scott and I have been running an Instagram channel, so that's a good way for like really short form content for us to get in touch with you if we have an update. All these things are good. And I just want to share everything with you guys. So let's wrap this up. Oh my goodness. It's Tuesday and the production batch of broilers goes out on Thursday for processing. They're packed up on Wednesday. They have their last full day of feed on Tuesday today. They get packed up on Wednesday and they're processed on Thursday. So it, throws my scheduling all off for posting these videos. The homestead batch that I have here, I like the birds a little bit bigger. When I have them at home, I feed a lot of people, not just my family, but we have a lot of guests over. So one of the reasons why I like the homestead birds is I can let them go just a little bit longer and get like 6 to 7 pound birds, which is a nice big plump roaster when you're entertaining a whole bunch of people. So I have that flexibility with these guys because I'm going to process them on farm. With the ones for the production side, I've set that date actually months in advance because it's hard to get into my USDA processing facility because it's the only one in the Northeast. So I set that date, we're ready for it. We're gonna go right into tomorrow. We're gonna talk about what the last day of prep is like and then what the actual day of processing is like for me specifically. Wednesday, the day before you process the birds, or Wednesday in this case for me, We restrict feed for 24 hours before processing. So they're going to be killed tomorrow early in the morning. So today starts that feed restriction. And the reason why you do feed restriction is that when you're processing broilers, if they had feed in their crop, which is where they hold feed when they're eating, or feed in their intestines and in their digestive system, it's more likely that you're going to contaminate the carcass, the bird, when you're processing it. It makes it much more difficult for the processor. The USDA inspectors really dislike it. So starving them for 24 hours is the rule for my processing facility, but the general rule of thumb for when you're processing broilers is to starve them for 24 hours. Restrict feed is the nicer way to say starve, but restrict feed for 24 hours before you're processing. Cleans the gut out. I still move them and give them fresh grass, but I don't do a morning or afternoon feeding because we catch them up in the evening. Now when it comes time to the evening, they've gotten a lot of that through their system. I've given them plenty of water throughout the day, so they're never dehydrated. You want to give them plenty of water, and they've kind of flushed themselves out a little bit. And I found a lot of success with going out at night, hopefully timed with some moonlight and stuff, but you can have a dim headlamp on as well. The B-roll that you'll see on this video, I did more during the day because I wanted to show you guys what it's like for us. But what we do is prep the truck and the trailer. I have a truck and a trailer that I use to transport the birds in. We bring out the crates to the chicken tractors earlier in the day and let everything kind of sit out there and settle, get the birds used to looking at those containers during the day. And then in the evening or at night, we pack up the birds. When we're packing up the birds, it can be anywhere from 7 to 10 birds per crate, depending on the size of the birds and the time of year. You don't want to overpack them if it's a really hot time of year, because they can get stressed out in those crates and be overheated and die. It's bearable. We've gotten this far. Why screw it up now? So be gentle with the birds, put them in the crates. We pack them up with 7 to 10 birds per crate and then stack them at max 4 crates high out in the trailer. The trailer has been set up so that they have protection from the wind and the elements, but also they're really well ventilated. Now, if you take that broiler chicken that has been metabolizing the feed and generating a lot of heat and you cram them together and stack them, that will become a very hot furnace of chickenness. And that hot furnace of chickenness, if the chickens don't have a way to cool down or if it's too hot at night, they can pant really fast because that's how they control their body temperature. Pant, 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 and their heart explodes and they die. So you don't want to do that. What's great about the fall is that it's really cool outside. And by the time we were packing up chickens, it was in the low 50s, getting into the high 40s in the evening, so that the birds were really cool and they maintained a good temperature for the journey over to the processor. Then crazy early in the morning, we go to processing, and that's tomorrow's video. So with the birds processed, the chicken tractors lay empty, and here I am after the fact. It's a really early start in the day for me. I don't feel comfortable using the video camera while driving, and it's just weird at the processor to be sitting there on camera. So I have some B-roll that I took of being at the processor itself. What I do is leave crazy early in the morning. There's benefit to me to be the first one in line. That means the equipment is at its cleanest, and I'm sending my birds through on the cleanest equipment possible. That's a little, trick of the trade. Now I've ruined it for myself. Drop the birds off in the morning, fill out my cut sheet the way I want them specifically cut up for my business, and then I go sit in a cafe for the day on the internet and do internet things. And then I come back in the afternoon with extra ice and coolers, pack up the birds from the processor into the truck, bring the truck home, unpack the coolers from the truck into my cold room, and then they either go to wholesale customers, my CSA customers, my farmers market customers, or into freezers after that. So I'm only processing once a month, so to be able to keep the weekly dole out of chicken or allocation of chicken, I freeze some of them, so then that gives me kind of a buffer for managing inventory and stuff for the business. All this talk about raising broilers, and what do they look like when they're all done? Bam! This is a 5-pound chicken. That is your Cornish cross broiler right there, big breasts. Nice round football of a chicken, nice neat packaging with that shrink wrap bag. got my logo on it, Camps Road Farm. It's got the weight on it, which is great for doing math at the farmer's market and detailing out what the CSA customers are getting. And yeah, that's what people get. You can go right into the oven or right onto the grill with this guy, and it is delicious, delicious. We're gonna go over in the next video how much I charge, how much I get per bird, how my CSA model works, all the details on the finances and the numbers about this final end product. This is the end product that we were going for. We're gonna go over all the details on it next video. Hard to fit all of the details into a video that you're gonna watch on YouTube and stay engaged. So what I did on farmmarketingsolutions.com, you can go down and look for the Grow More Chickens. Everything's linked together, so hopefully it's easy for you to find, but also in the description for this video, I have all the individual web pages where I have a resources section for all the things that I've been gathering, all the knowledge that I've been gathering, all the videos that I've been making on raising broiler chickens for meat. I have my playlist with 40 plus videos and counting of all the videos on how to raise chickens for meat. I have a playlist on slaughtering chickens on a homestead scale, on a backyard setup. I have some recommended reading and books that I think are really valuable. I have some free downloadable PDFs that I found on the internet that I use on my farm on a regular basis. These are studies, either studies I've read or Jeff Maddox's poultry illness flow chart for troubleshooting when your birds are sick, all this stuff that I've put on the website for you, free to access, and I also have some other resources coming out in the future that I want to talk about right now. I've been raising broilers for a couple years now, and the broiler operation of my farm is profitable. It is turning a profit and it is supporting the farm. That is an amazing thing. It's a great thing as a farmer. Pasture poultry is an amazing opportunity for just about anybody with some lawn space. So what I've done is go through and collect all the data sheets, all the planning and tracking sheets, all the stuff on how to raise the chickens that I have that I use here on farm, how to set up the brooder, all my checklists, all the run books for the field chores, all the information that has taken me years to compile and put together and make it into a visually appealing thing. I've put together into a pastured poultry packet. I have a link down below. You can sign up for the email list for the early release for that. If you're watching this video in the future, I've probably already released it. It's coming out in the next month or so. Whew, man, I wish I had this pasture poultry packet when I was beginning. I'm not just saying that because now I'm selling it, but because it's going to save you a lot of time, money, and energy. Speaking of time, money, and energy, it takes me time, money, and energy to put all this stuff together. Some of the illustrations I pay an illustrator to do. I have web hosting fees. I have all these things, and I'm also doing a lot of experiments and sharing a lot of free information on YouTube for you guys so that we can all learn as a community. So to pay me back for some of these projects, you can either sign up for that list so you know when it comes out, or when it comes out, buy the pasture poultry packet, become a better pasture poultry producer, and it supports me, and then I do more experiments, I share that information, and a lot of it is free. I got to charge for something now and then just to keep me going and Farm Marketing Solutions going. I don't feel that bad about it because I know it's going to be worth your time. Pretty excited about it. Check out the link, and that's all I have to say about that. Just when you thought the sales pitch was over, I am also putting together a broiler video course. I've taken a ton of video, and it takes a lot of editing time to get everything together, and I know that there are details in this video series that I gave you for free that you guys haven't gotten, and because I've gotten a lot of requests to put a video course together, I am compiling and making a video course for you guys, and that is also going to be for sale because, again, it takes a lot of time and energy and money to put all this stuff together for you. And I know that it's going to be very, very valuable. The link for that is also in the description for this video. I won't go into a lot of details just because the details are on the website and you don't want to hear me plug any more products. Then we go into week 9. That's right, I had an 8-week video course or video series on YouTube where I went through week 1 when we had baby chicks to now we have the finished final product. And I realized that I should do 9 and 10 videos. So next week we're going to go over all the tracking numbers, what my finished weights were, how much food I used, what my final mortality rate was, what my total cost for the whole batch of birds were. We're going to discuss that in the next video. Then video 10, I'm going to talk about how I've structured my chicken business, what my CSA details are, what my hopes are for the future, some of the experiments I'm going to be doing, and plenty of reasons to subscribe to the YouTube channel because I put out a lot of stuff for free. Thanks for taking the time to watch the series. I can't believe the birds are processed. It's really kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't know what my closing words are other than I really appreciate you guys helping me build this community, helping me reach my goal in the future of raising 1 million chickens. And until next time, I will see you out in the field.